Good afternoon, Mr. President. Good to
Good
see you
afternoon,
up here,
Senator.
up there. Um, I rise in making some comments related to this bill. I support some of the concepts that are being raised: the congregate housing, our homeless shelters, our healthcare frontline workers. These are important considerations in a endemic phase of this COVID period that we went through. And it's important to note that these are important considerations. But I oppose the fact that we are undergoing this process through an executive order. We sit in this circle, and downstairs we have the House. We are in session. We should have a committee discussion with a full vetting and input from all shareholders in crafting policy, because that's what we were elected to do. The fact that we are continuing this executive order, the extension of emergency power, bypassing the due process of a legislative body in which we have been entrusted by the people to represent, to have this executive order come through on the day of our vote without public vetting is a principle that I am opposed to in my no vote, because it's remarkably frustrating that we are not able to consider and vet and make contributions to these important issues, but rather to continue the executive order, to relinquish our legislative co-equal branches of government, and to willingly do it. That's the frustration. That's my frustration in this whole process. Nearly 2 years into this, where we have rescinded and taken away the executive powers, emergency powers of the governor, we are now continuing this and bypassing the process and the voice of the people. We could make these executive orders better, but no. It seems that the powers in control think they know better. That's remarkably frustrating. When you say it out loud, it evokes a sense of frustration that our representative government, our co-equal branches of government, by this vote, is relinquishing their power to represent the voice of the people. Good ideas, important ideas, but for us to just simply say, it's an executive order, it's an emergency, let's make it happen. The principle has moved on this issue. Let the people get their voice in being represented. So again, I want to be clear. Some of these issues are important. I support them on its own. And as the co-ranking member in public health, these are important considerations. We should have had a public hearing. In fact, I believe we're going to have a public hearing tomorrow on public health. Why would we not consider that issue? A rush to judgment. The power to make that decision using the guise of the executive order. That's not representative government. That's an abuse of power in my mind. So I'll be voting no on the principle of extending the executive order. But let's be clear, these are important issues that with proper consideration and deliberation, I think we could have true bipartisan support and make a possible bill better. But when the powers that be, under the guise of an emergency, under the guise of an executive order, can push through bills without transparency, without respect for the voters that we represent, we have abdicated our representative powers and relinquished that power to the executive branch. So I repeat again, I support the number of concepts that's presented here, but I will be voting against these executive orders because it has bypassed the democratic representative process. Thank you, Mr. President.